At the end of Mufasa movie, we saw a touching moment. How Kiara met his new brother, the little cub, who is the new son of Simba and Nala. But have you ever wondered who this mysterious cub in the Mufasa movie really is? But when we look at The Lion King 2, we didn't see any Kiara's brother. This confused us because Disney never revealed his real name. And in The Lion King 2, little Kiara grows up without any hint of having brother anywhere. But when Mufasa movie was revealed, even Kiara, the youngest cub, suddenly had a little brother. But what if I told you that this cub was actually Kopa? Of course, since Mufasa coming out, you might think it was Kion. But everything is not easy, because we remember someone else's son of Simba, but from the Disney book, named Kopa. Pay close attention, because I'll explain who this cub could be, Kion or Kopa. How Kion is connected to the Lion King stories, and how he might have been born during the events of The Lion King 2. Let's start with Kopa, but isn't it pretty obvious that the character is actually Kion? However, creators of Mufasa might include him because if we look at the live-action canon, for example, they added Scar's real name, Taka, which originally came from the books, but it's not over. The writers also included Rafiki's backstory from the same book canon, where he once wandered the lands and met the lion. Well, I think these details taken from the books give us a clue that it might be Kopa. Maybe Disney wanted Rise him again because he forgot in character, and it might be a good chance because even through the stories in the books, he also loved by fans. We should remember that Disney didn't set his real age, and it's unknown in which timeline of the movies Kopa's story could be. So let's talk about the most obvious theory first. Could it be Kion instead of Kopa? Well, I thought that the Lion Guard series canon absolutely couldn't be connected with Mufasa's film, but I was mistaken. If it really was Kion, why haven't we seen the same meeting in The Lion King 2? Does it mean he is completely not this mysterious cub? Firstly, we should look at the age difference between siblings in the Lion Guard. The very first episode shows Kiara as the older sibling by showing her as the future queen of the Pride Lands. Kion was a very playful cub, always thinking only about fun. But over time, he becomes more serious because he received the gift, Roar of the Elders, which made him a leader of the Lion Guard, a group of animals who are the protectors of the Pride Lands. Therefore, we can be sure that in the beginning of The Lion King 2, Kion was simply not born yet. Since we know Kiara is older, we have another question. Why didn't we see Kion in the rest of the movie? When Kiara grew up and went on her first hunt, we can watch The Lion Guard and understand that series focuses on Kion, while The Lion King 2 focuses on Kiara. To learn the answer to why we didn't see Kion, we need to get back to the point when Kion struggled with Scar's evil ghost version. However, even though Scar also had a plan in motion, at the volcano, the Lion Guard confronted Scar. But during the fight, Kion was bitten by the snake Ushari. The bite left a scar and began to affect his mind towards uncontrollable darkness. This scar looked like an evil mark, which worried Kion a lot. However, fortunately Kion defeated Scar with help of the lion spirits of the past. But Kion's victory came with a cost. His friend Ono, the heron keenest of sight, also got wounds on his eyes, which hurt his vision, when he dove into the volcano to save Bunga. But Kion and Ono needed to get healing, because they cannot protect the Pride Lands with their wounds. Rafiki sent them for healing to the special place, the Tree of Life. And it's the answer where he was during The Lion King 2. Because if Venom stays inside of him, he will completely lose self-control and no longer know the difference between right and wrong. Tree of Life, the place where all animals went for healings. Therefore, the Lion Guard started their long trip, which was full of new friends and unfortunately, new enemies, who were a big obstacle that made the trip even longer. When they finally got to the Tree of Life, Ono got better fast heal, but Poison Scar took longer time. But suddenly, the enemies which they met on their way chased them to the Tree of Life and unluckily teamed up to build a big army. Their attack stopped Kion's healing, but with the help of Ascari, it was over fast because Kion got power up after his teaching. Askari, the first Lion Guard leader. Askari's spirit lived nearby the Tree of Life and knew everything about the roar. He taught Kion how to really use it. Because before he didn't control his roar, and it might have put others in danger. Kion used the upgraded roar to send all the enemies flying away, and the Tree of Life was saved again. The guard had a good time there, and even Kion fell in love with Rani, the future queen of the Tree of Life. But why haven't we heard about the Tree of Life or about the Lion Guard characters in the movie Part 2? Well, it doesn't mean that Tree of Life didn't exist yet, because the movie focuses on fighting with Zira. Therefore, everyone, including Simba's pride, was busy confronting her. The next, Jasiri and Janja called them back to the Pride Land. When they arrived to the Tree of Life for warnings, Kion, they warned them about the danger of Zira's attack to the Simba's pride, and it led us to the big clue. It was the same events that we have watched in The Lion King 2. The Lion Guard immediately set off back to the Pride Lands for helping to resist her attack. Now we can be sure, during this period of time, when Kion spent in the Tree of Life, in the Pride Lands were happening events of the movie, like Kiara's growing up and, most importantly, reconciliation between Simba and Zira's pride. But when Kion returned, everything had ended. Kiara already described Lion Guard about second part events. Kiara showed him that each enemies like Vitani, Kovu, and others accepted the peace. So in The Lion King 2, Kion was born but out of our sight. Also during the time of the movie, we just see the events in Kiara's point of view in the Pride Lands, while Kion's story was in the another place. Look at Kiara in the beginning of the movie. She met her new friend Kovu. After this, Kion probably was born. And before Kiara went for the first hunt, he took over Scar and got his wound, therefore leaving his home. After this, Kiara got saved by Kovu and main part of The Lion King 2 started. But when we look at Kion and Kiara with Kovu, at the moment he returned from the Tree of Life, they have same size as in the end of second film, especially when we notice Kovu's scar and mane. The creators of the Lion King universe probably left Kion out, because he would have taken attention away from Kiara and Kovu's story. Disney is very smart to unify all types of universes, like movies, series, books, or live-action films. That's why I consider the Lion King book 6 New Adventures, and the Lion Guard series canon for the live-action Mufasa movie as well. However, eventually, I believe that this little Kiara's brother could be Kopa as his return to the universe. But I'm curious what you think about it. Was it really Kion or Kopa? Or creators have made us confusing again? If you like this, theories, make sure to turn on that notification bell and join the Pride Land. See you in the next videos.